Hi guys, I've had the 15 Pro Max for 2 weeks and I think it's a good time to compare it with my previous phone, which was a 14 Pro. That's right, I use a speaking case on both the phones, boring speaking case. Anyways, so I had the 14 Pro for like I said, maybe 6 months, and before this I had a 13 Pro Max which I used for a long time, and the reason I got rid of my 13 Pro Max is because of weight. So let's start with that segment. The 14 Pro, iPhone 14 Pro weighs 206 grams, that's right. Good, nice weight. You can use it without the case. You won't find yourself, the phone won't slip and all that. Very good construction, very beautiful. If you are going out, I suggest you take the case off and just show off the phone a bit. There's nothing wrong with that. When you spend so much on the phone, why not show it off, right? When it comes to the 15 Pro Max, it weighs 221 grams. This is a 512 GB version. This is a 256 GB version. But it weighs just 16 grams more than the 14 Pro. And I must say, to my surprise, this has been a very good weight addition. I don't really feel it at all. I don't find myself missing the smaller 14 Pro ever, because the build quality, the bezels are much smaller. The titanium has a really nice sleek grip, and also the bezels are smaller. It doesn't hurt my pinky finger anymore. Moreover, if I was using the 14, let's say for an hour or two, I would find that the stainless steel drills into the pinky finger. But it was more with the 13 Pro Max. With the 14 Pro, I think the build quality is a perfect 10 on 10. I can't complain. And similarly with the 15 Pro Max, again, the build quality is a perfect 10. And I'm so happy that. Next, I want to talk about the display. As expected, the display is nice and bright. Under most conditions, I find it pretty good. However, when I upgrade from one generation to another, I often end up expecting a major difference, at least a 10, 15 or 20% difference also in most cases. But this year it's kind of underwhelming. It's just a 10% difference in terms of screen quality. Yes, it is much brighter than the 14 Pro, but it's not exactly wow territory. I don't look at some graphic and go like, wow, this looks so much better. Yes, the cinematic display on YouTube is awesome. It looks very good, but it is not as good as I think it should have been. The speakers are much louder on this phone. However, I don't think, again, I have the same issue. I don't think the incremental display of the sound from a 14 Pro form factor to a 15 Pro Max is justified. The sound is just not that good. It's just not that loud. It's just not as much as fun as I was expecting to listen to. When I got the 13 Pro Max, I was blown away. From the 11 Pro Max to the 13 Pro Max, the sound was much better. And then when I got the 14 Pro, I was very underwhelmed by the sound difference, and I really missed the big phone for the speaker. But the 15 Pro Max is not all that. I think the speaker incremental upgrade is kind of disappointing in my opinion. Let's talk about call quality. The call quality on this is pretty much at par with the call quality on the 14 Pro. Both are excellent 10 on 10 phones. But I have noticed maybe a 5 to 10% increase in the connectivity. Whereas in terms of the phone's speed, I'm kind of, I have to say both are blazingly fast. Did I notice any difference in the 15 Pro Max versus the 14 Pro Max? I would want to say that the phone just starts much faster. Apart from that, I exported an iMovie on this and it took forever. So I don't think the speed of the phone has really changed. I think they both are at par with one another. You will not, if your speed is one of your concerns with the 14 Pro, I don't think you're going to find anything better about the 15 Pro Max. So it's a very incremental upgrade. You're not going to notice the difference. Both are plenty fast. Even when I'm uploading something on WhatsApp, it's just marginally maybe 3 or 4 seconds faster. Let's talk about the USB port. We had the lighting port on the previous iteration. With the 15 series, with the 15 Pro Max, we have this new USB-C port, and I must say it has come in very handy, and I find myself really looking forward to charging this with the USB-C. And I don't think this is temporary. I think it's going to be forever. The charging port difference makes a hell of a difference on a phone which eats battery, you know. I feel that now with the USB-C, I can use any generic adapter and charge this. Of course, using an Apple-based MacBook's adapter will really charge us much faster. But again, I really love the USB-C edition. It's one of the major reasons I don't think I want to go back to the iPhone 14 Pro. Just looking at the lighting port, and it's just boring, you know. And I know it's just been 14 days, but I'm a convert for good, and this is one of the best decisions they made. I don't know why they took so long. One of the reasons I always get a new phone is the camera. I really like good cameras, and I have to say this phone does have a pretty good camera. I was at a wedding recently and I clicked some photographs with this. I'll see if I want to include any, so the camera is plenty good. It is very sharp. However, if I had to rate the camera, I would probably say that the 14 Pro camera is probably an 8.5 out of 10, and the 15 Pro Max camera is probably an 8.8 out of 10. So maybe a 3% to 5% better camera. How am I assessing this? Well, for whatever reason, I feel the selfie camera is still not very sharp on the 15 Pro Max. I think when I take a natural light selfie in low light conditions, I still see a bit of grain. However, it has increased, but honestly in 2 weeks I haven't been able to do much with it. The camera and the video quality is of course much better on the rear. On the front facing, I'm not able to see many changes. I mean, it's really fast. Of course, the shutter speed is super fast now. The portrait shots are absolutely insane sometimes. I took one recently and I'll share that with you. It comes out really well, but sometimes, when you don't take a portrait shot, you just take a simple selfie. The photographs can be a little wanting and it can make you look a bit, well, I look like that, so that's my fault, I guess. But as far as on-screen display is concerned, both have the same exact on-screen display, both have the same exact dynamic island. So that is not a reason you want to upgrade. The functionality, everything is brilliant. If you're coming in from a 13 generation of phones, I think you will find the dynamic island to be the best feature. Like, it is one of Apple's many master strokes. What do I use the new shortcut button for, and how do I get away with not having a mute? Well, now if you drag down the menu, you have a mute option. So I use that, and there's this shortcut button. I'll show you what I use it for. That's right, I use it for a flash. And I find myself using a flash every now and then because I don't know, for whatever reason, I just using the flash more than ever, especially at nighttime when I have to go to my the room where my kids are asleep and I don't want to be noisy and I want to get into bed. That's when this really helps. But it's a great addition. I like the shortcut button. Battery life, if I leave in the morning with the 14 Pro at, let's say, 90% charge, by supposing it's a 90% charge at 10 a.m, by 5:30 p.m, I think I will be left with 20% battery or 14% battery. On the 15 Pro Max, if I get up in the morning and I leave home with, let's say, 85% battery at 10 a.m, by the time it's 5 p.m, I probably will be at 50%. There's no way you can run the phone battery out, but yesterday I was on a flight and I left home around 82%, around, I want to say, 10 a.m, and I got back, I took a flight, I got back around 10 p.m. at night, and the whole day I was using my phone and the phone was down to 4% battery. So if you use the camera a lot, the battery does drain. Otherwise, the battery is good. Is it as good as the 13 Pro Max? No way, man. 13 Pro Max was on a different league of its own. I am not very impressed with the battery this year. And I say that because sometimes when I have a busy day, I genuinely want to charge it to 96 to 100% because I can't be bothered with finding a charger in the middle of the day. Well, of course, finding a USB-C charger is a lot easier, but overall, I would like to say that it's been a bit of a mixed experience with the 15 Pro Max. However, the good news is all iPhones keep growing on you with time, which is why everybody sticks with an iPhone. If you stick with an iPhone for 2 years, I guarantee you will find things to like about it. No matter what generation you get, even if you get an iPhone 12 in today's time and date, I think you will be good for it for the next 3 years. That's Apple for you. And this is the 15th generation of the phone, and it's pretty good. I have very little to complain about. All of the imperfections in the phone are probably because I expect it to work a certain way. For example, I expect the sound to be 20% louder. I expect the battery to be 20% better. But those are things I can work around with. I often have a Bluetooth speaker handy no matter where I'm sitting. For most intents and purposes, the speaker might be okay, but I wish it was 15-20% louder, you know. I wish it was disturbingly loud, but it's not. In fact, I don't know why, but I think the 13 Pro Max was probably a little louder than this. I could be wrong. You guys can tell me in the chat what you think. Thank you for watching, guys. Peace out. Overall, I would give this phone an 8 on 10, which is a very good rating. And the 14 Pro, I would give probably an 8.5 on 10 rating, because this doesn't promise to change the world. But just because of the 6 months or 4 to 6 months that I spent with it, I sometimes look at this and I say to myself, dude, this phone is good to go, but the battery life is the only downside. You have to charge it 2-3 times a day minimum. Peace out. Should you buy the 15 Pro Max? I don't know, man. You know, you watched 50 more videos and figured it out for yourself.